The reason, and now if you, when you study any of the Filipino martial arts, for every system in the Filipino martial arts, and there are many, they'll have a different numbering system. The most universal one is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The reason we do that is for number is A, so I don't have to say hit me like this. Right? The other reason is for simplicity of attacks. The Filipino martial arts began a long time ago, not to equate their defense with a punch or a chop or a hook punch. They didn't look at the technique being applied in order to formulate a defense. What they looked at was what angle, what direction was the strike coming from. So they organized it into a 1, which is a right shoulder quadrant. If you think of the shoulders and the hips being quadrants, dead center of those quadrants is your 5. So they would organize their attacks and their defenses based on the angle of attack. So this is an angle 1, that's an angle 1, that's an angle 1, because it originates from the same place, right? So my defense, can I use you, Noel? You can put your stick down for a second. So if Noel attacks me with a right-handed hook punch, that is the same as if he attacked me with a straight hook punch, or a straight punch. Doesn't matter what form the technique takes, what matters is what quadrant is it originating from. So I defend the angle of the attack, not the technique that's being applied to me, with very few variations. Very few variations. Thank you, Noel. All right, so now, what Sifu was guiding you through was angle 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, which is straight down the center line. The process that we're going to work is it's 3 little movements together. It's called brush, check, and counter. This is a hallmark movement from an art known as modern arnis, which is a Filipino martial art. The movement starts, if we're thinking about a right-handed blow coming in, or any blow, we're going to move with the right hand first. Most of your martial arts, especially the weapon-oriented ones, have a right-handed bias because most people are right-handed. So we're going to start with a right hand bias, realizing that anything we do from the right side, we can do just as well from the left side, right? But you'll learn it faster if we focus on the right and translate over. So the first movement starts from the right-handed shoulder. It's going to sweep across the body. As it sweeps across the body, this hand is going to either check it here or over underneath like this. So it looks like this kind of a movement. So 1, like a windshield wiper. 2. So if Noel is just come punch slowly, the hand is going to slap that across. I'm going to re-grab it. And then my third movement would be a strike or a lock or whatever. Okay, so watch again. Slowly as the strike is coming. Brush, hold, strike. If you were punching with that other hand, the movement would look like this. Brush, hold, strike. If you push 2 hands, the movement would look like brush, hold, strike. So you see, it really doesn't matter if he's using 1 hand or 2, if he's swinging in a hook type motion or a straight motion. The movement, brush, hold, strike, brush, hold, strike, is the same. Now, some people will also refer to this as brush, check, and counter. The only difference between a brush, hold, strike, or a brush, check, counter is as the strike is coming in, am I just pushing that hand away and coming in? Or as he comes in, am I swapping that and grabbing it and moving forward? Does that make sense? So that's our signature movement for most of today. There's a couple of other ones that we'll learn, but that'll be your entry, regardless of what attack is being applied from the front. From the front. Now, a lot of you are going to be in situations and environments where you're going to be you have to have a higher degree of awareness. I'm going to show you some little hacks, some little techniques that don't look like self-defense, because they don't actually involve you touching another person, but will dramatically reduce the probability that you're going to be attacked. And I'll give you the resources for why that's true. Okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to practice this brush, check, counter movement. So you need to put your sticks down for just a moment. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to each partner up. Now, the ladies can work with the ladies if they want, or you can work with the guys. It doesn't really matter. One of you is going to be the tackling dummy. Okay? The other one is going to be the practitioner. So what's going to happen is in this movement, one of you is going to just kind of take a stance and stick an arm out, just like this. Okay? Can I borrow you? Okay? So he's just going to stick an arm out. So you did martial arts before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, turn a little bit so the camera can see. And I get in a front stance for me. Good. And stick one of your arms out like a jab. Okay, that's a reverse punch jab. There you go. So now we're going to work the jab, which is the fastest hand technique to have to deal with other than an eye jab, which, by the way, is the first one I want you to learn. But the problem is every time I talk about jabbing someone in the eye, the first thing I hear from the audience is, ew. Okay? If you have an ew response when I'm teaching it to you, you probably won't use it on the street. Right? Because you have to think differently when it comes to defending yourself. You have to think mama bear defending her cubs. Okay? Not, oh, help me God. Right? It's a different mindset. But you know, in a real life situation, you have to be able to, we call that the predator-prey switch in Systema. There's a little switch inside of us that the moment we hit that switch, we go from being meek and mild to Wolverine, right? And we need to develop that. If we don't practice it, it won't be there when we need it. But for right now, we're just going to work on the mechanics of the brush, hold, strike, right? Realizing that we don't have to always grab. We could just push that in and barrel through. My job is not to turn you into MMA champions tonight. My job is to teach you how to go home. That makes sense? Teach you how to go home. So hold your hand out for me. So what's going to happen now is we're going to use his hand as a reference. Notice his hand is right on my center line. My hands are going to be here. I'm going to step to one side. I'm going to brush the hand aside. I'm going to grab it, and I'm just going to touch with the palm of my hand. I could touch with the fingers, but to make sure we have the right distance, I want you to use the palm. I'm going to come back. And then I'm going to go to the inside now. So I'm going to step. I'm going to brush the hand. I'm going to grab it. And I'm going to touch. And I'm going to come back. And I'm just going to practice that movement. Getting the footwork. Getting the distance. Does that make sense? So let's practice that. Partner up. And we're going to take 5 or 10 minutes. 5 minutes just you practicing that movement. Because that's going to be we're going to 80% of what we do today is going to start with that, and then I'm going to show you where to go next. The structure collapses. This guy's strong. I know this because I just played with him. Right? He gets in a good solid karate stance or forward stance, strong. I push on him. He's not. Okay. He's obviously strong. Stay up there, young man. The moment the arm, it's a neurological thing. The moment the arms cross the center line of the body, the brain no longer knows where those hands went. For a brief moment, the entire system gets weak. It's neurological. So no matter how strong or like a bull he is, strong like this.
Were you resisting that?
No, I mean,
He wasn't giving it to me.
Yeah.
Right? So you can test this. This is one of the reasons why when that strike comes in, punch, I want to cross that line.
Oh,
Now, anything I do is going to hurt him worse. It's much more easy for me to move him or do something to him because his brain doesn't know where his arms are. Right? So I want you to prove this to yourself. David, I want you to just get in a strong stance, hold yourself nice and rigid, right? And remember, it's a test, not a contest. And then all you're going to do is cross the hands. No, cross the hands.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Do it again.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Strong like bull, right? And I'm pushing. Okay? And all we do is this. Just cross the hands.
Oh,
Is that what cops for the handicap? You know,
Well, they don't really know. A lot of them are taught to cross, but they don't always know why.
Oh, okay.
Right? People figure out that things work, but they don't really understand the reason why.
Right.
Right? This hemisphere of the brain controls this arm. This hemisphere of the brain controls this arm.
Right.
Right?
So when you cross the arms and then you can just push him or do anything and
It's easier. Now I'll show you. This is weird. Right? Get back in your stance. Right? So now, keep your arms strong. I'm going to push. Okay. Now I can push him because I got good stance work. Okay. If I do this, he's much easier to move. Now watch how weird this gets. Right? Get strong. Now put it back to here. Now watch. Look at me. This is your left arm. Okay. This is your right arm. Get strong.
damn.
Go back to being strong.
Okay.
His brain resets to the new normal And then when I put it back to this, it's gone again. Weird, huh?
The same thing. If you just push one arm across.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you just did this.
That's what your brush check counter is designed to do. That's why in a lot of your old style martial arts, the first thing they're going to tell you is close the center line. This is why. The moment we close that center line, he gets weak. Wing Chun wants to dominate center line. They want you to somehow force that arm across that center line. Because once they do, the structure is compromised. Modern Arnis, Filipino martial arts, they want to close that center line. Chinese Kung Fu, most of your like Chinese boxing styles, you'll see as the strike is coming in, they'll come in and they'll turn everything. Because they want to distort the structure, but for neurological reasons as well as biomechanical reasons. Did you guys do, in your karate, did you do kata? The reason that these movements are in the chambering movements in your old katas, those downward blocks that everybody's teaching us, this is part of the secret art that the kata was designed to preserve. But if you weren't one of the initiates who got access to the oral teachings, you were going to dance a song you couldn't speak the language of, right? So this is what we're going to, all I want you to now is I want you to play with that one concept. Get that hand across the center, have them get strong like bull, right? Again, remember, it's a test, not a contest. It's a no-brainer to figure this guy could probably overpower this woman, even at her, but we want to hack the system, right? We want to learn, how can I cheat? How can I make them weak without them realizing they're weak, so I have the highest probability of success, right? Let's play with that. We'll come back and do some other stuff. Hopefully, just leave it running, yeah. So that's the idea behind the brush trap strike. The strike is coming in. I brush this hand. I move it across that center line. Notice I don't cross my own hands. Right? This is one of the things that we have to be careful of. When we're doing our brush check, this is why we tend to step or rotate the hip. We don't want this to happen. We want this to happen. See this relationship? See how I move my body so my hands never cross my center line? Or if my hand is crossing my center line, right as my hand is approaching that center line, I move to reorient. Does that make sense? So he's getting weaker. Just aside from the fact that I've made him weak, the fact that I've moved his arm across his body. Now he's a little bit taller than me, so he might be able to actually touch me with that other hand if he tries to punch me, right? But if I do that, it goes away, right? Yeah. So the most important bone to control in self-defense is this one. This one. If I control the humerus, I have a direct line to his spine, so I can make him rotate, I can move him backwards, I can move his torso across his own center line, I can move into an arm bar if I want to, right? A lot of different things that I can do once I control this one anatomical location, okay? So we're going to go back to our brush check counter now. So as the strike is coming in, I'm going to push that hand, I'm going to grab it. Now, the first pressure point that we're going to learn is called Do 26, and it's right below the philtrum, or right on the philtrum of the nose, right? If I take my finger and I put it right here on Noel, and I ask Noel to walk towards, there's a little problem with that. It's humbling. You can win money in bars with this. I paid my way through college. Bet 20 bucks you can't walk across my finger, right? And then they try. I've thrown 300-pound guys with that, okay? This is a great one if the guy's ever dancing with you, right? And he's getting all fresh and grabbing you in places you don't want. You just reach up and down they go, right? Right? So the first thing we're going to do is what we call a philtrum takedown. Now, because I don't know your backgrounds, I don't know how well you guys go to the ground or how willing you are to go to the ground. So this is what the movement looks like in slow motion. As the push or strike is coming in, I'm going to come here, I'm going to grab, I'm going to take the edge of my hand or my knuckles. You can do this to test it, but really what I want to do is I want to place the knife edge of my hand or my knuckles right below that philtrum, in that little Cupid's drop or whatever they call it. You ladies know what I'm talking about. And all I want to do is I want to pull this. Okay? It's like you turn him into a Pez dispenser, right? So this is the first movement as the strike is coming in. Okay, here. All right, down they go. All right. And you don't have to go all the way to the ground, especially because I know you ladies don't have your falls and stuff. But this is, again, one of those high percentage points that the minute I get that head like that, I don't even have to do anything else. If I just drop my butt, down they go, right? I should probably get the mats. If you guys want to take falls, I have mats. We can put the mats out. But okay. Yeah. If you guys want to work together.
I've had surgery on my neck twice, so I think I'm going to watch.
All right,
one.
that's fine. Then David, why don't you work with America? Okay. Try not to hurt him.
I was going to say, you want me to get it from him?
Nobody has to go to the ground.
Okay.
Nobody has to go to the ground.
Yes.
But I do want you to press hard enough to activate that point.
Okay.
Right? That's a great position to have somebody in. If all you do is let him go, right? You know, he grabs me for some reason. And I'm off, right? That's the point. The idea is we want to get away. We don't want to throw him on the ground and stomp on him until we're doing a river dance on him or something, right? The job is to go home. Now, we'll get more aggressive as we get more confident in the movement, but your first movement starts here. Strike's coming in, brush check counter. Right? That's all it is. Boom. Nice and slow.
Are you okay?
He's good. No, he's good. I can tell.
I
can tell. Yeah. Now, interestingly, in Chinese medicine, that point is actually used to wake people up after they've passed out. But if you attack it right, you can actually knock them out. We're not going to do that to you. Although some people would like very much to see that. There's a move in one of the more advanced forms. It's just this, and the guy's dead.
Dead?
Yeah. Lights up the cranial nerves like a Christmas tree. And one of those points is due 26. So, but that's advanced, right? But this is cool enough. Have fun. No, I want you to come back, right? So again, so grab a partner, have fun with this, and again, you don't have to go all the way to the ground. If you can just get them there consistently, that's enough. That's enough. Okay. Use your knuckles or the knife edge, because remember, we use this for a test. Right, but no one's really going to do that on the street. So let's do what we're actually going to do out there, all right? But again, back down the intensity, because when you activate nerves, can I use you for a second, America? When you activate these nerves, it feels a lot more intense than it looks. Right? I don't know if anybody here been to the dentist?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what it's like when a dentist just kind of touches a nerve when he's drilling a tooth?
Yeah.
Right? Even though he's only touched that nerve, it feels like your head's about to explode. When you start working on nerves, that's kind of what happens. Not that your head explodes or anything, but the level of severity that you feel because you're directly entering information into a nerve is significantly greater than the amount of force you're applying. It feels harder than it actually is. Does that make sense? Okay. Go play with that. We'll come back. All right. So just as an explanation for this, you guys want to get away? Can you? So what I was explaining to, what's your name again, sir? Frank and Noel, was that when you're doing this Filtrum technique, a lot of people think that it looks like I'm pushing him backwards. I'm pushing his head backwards. I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm tracing the contour of his head and his spine. So I want to come as close like a question mark down the back as I can. You're going to find that question mark shape or way of moving is half of a figure 8. All right, and you'll find that most of what we do in the more advanced internal martial arts comes back to a figure 8 or what we call a no-shi or a question mark type movement. Okay, so I'm going to ask Frank to assist me again. So what we worked first was the brush check counter movement. So as the strike is coming, and by the way, it doesn't have to be a punch. He comes in with a two-hand choke. Works just as well. He comes in with a hair grab. Works just as well. Right? It doesn't matter what the attack is because it's not about the weapon. It's about the angle. If it comes in on that angle, we can defend it. We don't have to think. Is it a hook punch? Is it a straight punch? Is it a one-hand grab? Is it a two-hand grab? Is he going for my eyes? Is he trying to... We don't have to think about that. We look, we see what angle he's coming in, boom. The attack is there. Right? It's there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that's what we call the Filtrum takedown. We're going to work now, is another one of my favorite ones. And this one again is off the brush trap entry. I'm trying to think if I want to do hair techniques or if I want to do spine techniques. Which would you guys rather have, hair or spine?
Spine.
Spine. All right. So as the strike is coming in now, we're going to brush this hand across. Now, let's go back to the board here so we can see how this works. Okay? It's cool. I have a board. I'm going to use it. Okay? But apparently, the erasers don't work very well. So we'll go over here. So the spine has these things called vertebrae, right? And if you look at an actual spine, you'll notice that it has 3 curves to it. You have a cervical curve, a thoracic curve, and a lumbar curve, right? And there's these little things called vertebrae that move through that, right? Now the brain, or the spine, likes to have those vertebrae all in a row. When the spine has all those vertebrae lined up like a stack of dishes, we're stable, we're strong. But if we misalign it even a little bit, the whole structure becomes incredibly unstable, and it's very easy to put somebody on the ground. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a minute. The way you do that is by compromising one of these arches. Okay, so the one I like to do, the easiest one, we'll start with the easiest one, is known as lumbar arch. So, who's got better falls, you or you? All right, we'll use you. All right. He's got a really strong stance, so I like to use him. Because again, if it works on somebody that is this kind of strong, now the theory behind this is, and again, I want you to understand it, your body's designed by nature to fight gravity, to utilize it to stand up, believe it or not. So any force that's applied from the top down, he's really strong. All right, really strong, right? The interesting thing, though, is if I apply force from the bottom up, he falls down. That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So here's the secret. And that was with his hips and his shoulders in alignment. Right? That's when he's at his strongest. I'm going to show you how to make it even weaker. Anytime the hips and the shoulders misalign, the only direction you need to move is down. But when you move down, you have to move from your butt down, not your head down. Right? So, if you look at him from the profile, you have the cervical arch, thoracic arch, lumbar arch. If all I do is apply pressure here and any place else to misalign the spine and bend my knees, down they go. It's a very bizarre thing, right? Oops. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to work the arch principle, and all you're going to do, and you can base it on the head, you can base it on the shoulder. The idea, though, is if you think about the spine being like this, I want to find some way to get those lumbar, the vertebrae in the lumbar arch like that, just a little bit. Just a little bit's all I need. He tried to fight that one. He really did, right?
You almost had him.
And here's the thing. He knew it was coming. He braced forward. He tried to beat it, and he couldn't. Right? That's not going to happen on the street, but that's all right. So the way this would look in a more combining what we've already got, the strike is coming in. I'm coming in this way, and down they go. Right? That's what it looks like. But how does this apply in terms of self-defense? The moment I have this disconnection, see how his knees already want to kick? Here's the weird part. If I push from the top, he'll get strong. You see that? If I push, he's trying very hard not to do that, so I'll just take a different one. Right? And that's the whole point, is in Systema, we don't actually, if we meet resistance, we go around it. So if I go in and he locks that lumbar, lock the lumbar, I lock the lumbar, so I go higher. I go to a different spot. I don't sit there and try to fight for the turf, right? Okay? But for now, to get the idea, okay, get the principle. You got to press hard enough that the spine misaligns, and then just drop your butt and bend your knees. And he'll sit down, right? And I've had smaller women than you drop 200-pound guys. The problem sometimes is getting to where you want to base it. You don't have to base it all the way up here. You could do it here. Okay? You could do it here. Yeah. Any place that you have an arch, you can do it. It's weird, I know, right? If I look, right? Now, I've been doing this a long time. I know exactly how much pressure to apply. You're going to need to do it a little heavy. Now, you don't do this one, okay? You're going to need to apply it a little heavy at first just to make sure you get that misalignment. And just bend your knees. Play with it. Have fun. Secret once again is when I do this, you're doing it from out here. So you're losing a lot of distance because see how far away? The further your limbs travel from the core of your body, the weaker they get. But a weird phenomenon happens is the closer the core of my body gets to his, the more they start to synchronize. The easily I move him from his center. Okay? So ideally, as I'm moving in, and there's lots of ways to get here, this is what we want, this is the target that we're going for. I want to be as close, I want to have my center of gravity as close to his center of gravity as I can. And then it becomes very easy to shift him. Whereas if I do the same movement from out here, it's much different. You feel the difference?
Yes.
Here, boom. That's, I don't know why it is. I don't think it's a strength thing. I think there's some kind of proprioceptive information exchange between one core and another, that if I do this here, I get a certain level of effect. I come here and I do the same thing. So this is why Systema spends a lot of time working from physical contact.
Very close.
Because I can move, I can change the dynamic of what your body wants to do. Between here and here, it's massive. Even though I'm not physically doing anything with my body other than connecting with you, there's a stronger response.
Okay, so it's like with any hand?
Yeah, doesn't matter what hand. You can put it anywhere.
Oh, okay.
As long as you kink the spine, you can put the hands anywhere.
Okay.
But okay.
So here?
It's harder to do it from that direction because you're going against yourself. But if you come from opposite sides this way, see? See how it torques him?
Oh, okay.
You're expecting this. So you're already taking up and down.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So it can still be done. The guy in the street, it's just like boom. By the time he figures out close.
Don't be tentative. Yeah, she's close, but she's still got to break the spine. There you go. See how little it's taking, right? You're a little tentative. You're like, I don't know if I want to. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt him. And you can see it, right? The body will fold naturally when you do this. This is not a hard fall in the sense like if you're going to throw somebody into the air like a Osada Gari or a hip throw or something like that. They're going to fold like an accordion to the ground. Right? Yeah. There you go. And when they're folding like that, that's where Systema would hit them. When they're like a piñata in midair, boom. That's where they're going to hit you.
I'm better off just to scream and run away.
Where do I want to go? I could work from the inside. But I can't.
So you teach this every Saturday or once?
We do meetups once or twice a month, and we teach classes on Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 7:30 to 9. And we cover everything: the pressure points, the Eskrima, the Arnis, the Systema. It's all integrated.
So Tuesdays and Thursday, what exactly? Is it a particular martial arts or everything together?
It's everything together.
Oh.
If you want ranking, I can rank you in the systems individually or under my umbrella system.
So you have to take Tuesday and Thursday class, or can you go 1, 2?
You can come once a week. I have people who've come once a week for 6 years.
Okay.
We have 3 different programs. We have a once a week plan, we have a twice a week plan, and then we have unlimited. Whatever we add, it's the same price, no matter how many classes we add or whatever.
What is the investment?
I think it's $65 for 1 time a week, $85 for 2 times a week, and $97 for unlimited. So, and it's done like,
a month.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's done like a subscription. There's no contract. It's literally done through PayPal. It renews every month, and you come as long as you want. And when you're done, you just pick up the phone and say, hey, David, I'm done. I got things have happened, blah, blah, blah. I click a button, you're done. And that's all I ask is when you're ready, if it's time to move on, just give me a call so I know and don't just disappear. But there's no long-term contracts or anything like
Each
that.
class is what, 65? Or how much is per class?
Oh, per class? Like $25.
25, okay.
Yeah, it's $25 a class. Or if you, yeah, and we have fun. My wife's in the class. She hits hard. I've seen her hit guys like 6'2" Danish guys studying hardstyle martial arts. She walks up. She's 110 pounds.
I know, she's so tiny.
She hits them here. They feel it in their genitals.
She's very strong.
She's very strong.
Yeah, like she's more than me.
Little 110-pound Chinese woman.
Yeah, yeah.
She loves to hit me. Right, but that's the cool thing.
I have to go because I have another engagement.
All right.
Okay? But I'll leave my, and yeah, probably come on Tuesday probably.
Okay. Yeah, come on in.
Bye guys.
Yeah.
Everybody. What do you think? Okay, so as it's coming here, I might come in here this way.
Okay.
And come right under here. So this, if I'm in front of him here, this is how I would bring him down, right? I just got to be careful. I can do it. I can come underneath the arm. I can push this across and base him this way. I might come across over top here to make sure he can't use that arm, right? I could also come in and be behind him. But I got to get that. I got to find that shoulder blade and really compress that. See how the hips and shoulders get out of alignment? That's all I'm looking for. As we get deeper and deeper into what we call biomechanical pressure point attacking, what we're always looking for is when that hip and that shoulder are out of alignment. The moment we get that, in advanced jiu-jitsu and judo, we're gonna move you. Right? We're gonna find some way to misalign that hip and that shoulder through physical force, right? That's right. And we're gonna, in Aiki and Sistema, we're gonna trick you into doing it for us. So he grabs me, right? Grab tight. Grab tight, right? Okay. He's got my hand. I let him have it, right? 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 There's all kinds of weird biomechanical, physics-based things that we're doing. It looks like chi, it looks like magic, and maybe there's chi there, maybe there isn't. But these are physics applied to the human body, right? If he grabs me here, right? If I just move that arm up and down, his shoulder's already misaligned. See that? See the misalignment? If he's still grabbing tight and I bend my knees, his knees kick.
So you need to first misalign his body and then put pressure downwards.
Yes.
And he'll follow.
There always has to be a structural misalignment of some kind first, and then the drop.
Then the drop.
And here is where you would deliver the hits.
Okay.
Because here he's got. We're going to cover striking a little bit later. This is where any internal armoring that he must have goes away.
In this position or
In any position where the hips and the shoulders misalign, or the head misaligns from the shoulders. Yeah. I'm going to come around and tap you. I've been hit by a lot of different martial arts. I have never been hit harder than a systemic punch. It will turn your children Democrats if they're Republican, right? I mean, it's just one of those, and you have to feel it to understand it. It doesn't look like what it does. Yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah, I'm having fun with this?
Yes.
Good. How are you liking your first meetup?
Oh, it's fun. I'm definitely challenged.
Cool. You like being challenged?
Yes.
Good. Some people don't like being challenged.
No, I do, definitely.
Yeah, I know what you're doing.
You know what I'm doing?
You're a rascal.
Me? I'm just drawn that way. We have a big meetup on Monday night on conversational hypnosis.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in this area?
It'll be at the Country Inn and Suites off of Mira Mesa Boulevard. Monday night, 7:30 to 10. 5975 Lusk Boulevard. Got about 60-some people RSVP'd.
That's one of my main interests. I've got whole bunch of hypnosis stuff, and I haven't really practiced.
You were thinking the right way, Noel. You wanted to step into that hole. That was a good idea. It just wasn't what we were practicing.
Yeah.
I'll show you how to make that work, though. You can do a lot of the sneaky jiu-jitsu style trips and throws. I call them invisible throws. Can I use you?
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to see the body a little bit differently. Okay. You guys know what triangulation points are?
No.
Okay. If he stands feet shoulder width apart, your triangulation points are based off the length of your tibia. Okay? You have a forward triangulation point. So if he takes his knee, places it directly on the ground without stepping back first. So keep your feet parallel, just place one knee on the ground. Now stand up. Right there is his forward triangulation point.
Okay.
Okay? Forward can you see the triangles now?
Yes.
He also has one to the rear that if he had a tail would be the same length as his forward triangulation point. But because he doesn't have a tail, it's significantly shorter.
Okay.
Follow me? When people see us do these things in the martial arts, and triangulation is a pretty well-known principle, but people don't really get how many triangulation points there are. Most people think about this one in the front and this one in the back, but there's a lot more in the body. And again, that's a whole study in and of itself. Anytime two human beings connect, multiple triangulation points come into being. Okay? So if he goes to shake my hand, you notice where he's shaking my hand? Right at his triangulation point. Right? If he goes to throw a hook punch, where's the apex of his punch? It's right at his triangulation point, the apex of his triangulation point. In terms of yin and yang, positive and negative, the theory of yin and yang tells us that, I don't know what your backgrounds are, but I'm a Chinese medical practitioner, so I can relate everything to yin and yang. Chinese medicine tells us that yin and yang are opposites and complements, that one cannot exist without the other. The extreme of one is the beginning of the next. So if you think of yin and yang, think this is his most yin position. He's folded here, right? As he moves out in the arc following that swing, it forms an arch. At the apex of that arch is the extreme of his yang. 180 degrees, right? 180 degrees, beginning of yang, maximum yin, maximum yang, beginning of yin, which is also, by the way, right at his center line. See how it all lines up? This is the point where he's simultaneously the strongest and the weakest. If he contacts me here, he's going to deliver the maximum amount of force from this position to this position, right? The minute he gets a little bit beyond it, he falls in a hole. So if you see people swinging, they don't swing here and stop most of the time, especially if they like lose control and they just start swinging naturally, they follow through. So they go from yin to yang and back to yin again, from yin back to yang, right? Where all those things reach their zenith is at that triangulation point, or what in John Klodig in his Yanagi Hara Aikido Jiu-Jitsu calls the natural reach position, which is your handshake position, right? So if we understand how this applies to the mechanics of the body and triangulation points, then we can start to say any place that we have a connection, we have point of control. Kind of got off track here. So going back to triangulation, what you were doing is when you were coming in this way, you wanted to step in and do a little sweep,
Yes.
right? And that would be old school taking the force. But if I understand that every time his body moves or we connect, triangulations open up, all I have to do is take my center of gravity and move through that natural reach position.
What happened?
What happened?
Just threw me off balance.
So if you come in, right, So I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So his stance is a little bit narrower.
Okay.
Now he wanted to come in and do this sweep,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I create this zenith and I just walk through this point,
That's great. Yeah. I couldn't.
and it doesn't matter how big you are, because gravity's on my side now, right? So this is again what I was talking about. The old school jiu-jitsu, old school judo. They're gonna take these same principles and they're gonna physically apply them. Aiki people are gonna be sneaky. They're gonna force you. They're gonna sneak you into putting yourself into a position for you, and then they're gonna finish it. Right? But let's work with the triangulation points, what we know. So his triangulation point is the length of his tibia forward. The one in the back, same principle, but smaller. We don't have to move as far. That's why it's always easier to move people backwards than it is forwards. Right? Because they have a lot more safety in the front. Okay? Pardon me. So, did we work the thoracics, by the way? Did we do that? Did we do this part?
Yeah.
Okay, we did that. All right. So going back to this idea, we're going to work the cervical arch, which is my favorite. If there's any particular arch that shows how easily a human being can be put down, it's the cervical arch. So what I do here is I find T1, which is that little lump right at the base of your neck here. And again, all I want to do is I want to move. Let's do this from the profile. All I want to do is base this and push. Right? And you see and that's called the hangman's reflex. That's a neurological response. Right? It's a neurological response. Notice that most of the time when I'm doing these arch techniques, I'm not in front of him. I'm always off to the side as much as I can. Now there's a lot of reasons for that, and we could spend a lot of time discussing it, but I want you to get these principles, right? So I can touch on the forehead, base it here. See how his butt kicks down and back? Now all I do, if I push from the top, he'll get strong. But if I sink from the bottom, the earth leaves from underneath him. He's like, what the fuck just happened to me? Right? This is how it works. Okay? So again, we have cervical, thoracic, one last, lumbar. I can base here, anywhere on the body as long as I'm on one of these. Right? So those are the three arches. We have our brush check counter. Look at my position. Look where I'm at. 1, 2, 3. But let's say he's really big and really strong and I need a little extra mojo. Strike comes in. There's my philtrum. Right? So all I want you to do now is I want you to work the cervical arch first. Once you have a good handle on each of the arches and the philtrum, then what I want your partner to do is just feed you different attacks. You know, hook punch, two-hand push, two-hand choke, hair grab, anything from the front. Okay? And I want you to apply the brush check counter and one of the takedowns. Can we do that? Go nice and slow. It's fun to play. But remember, people have to work tomorrow. Right? I want you to come back. I don't want to get sued. Right? Remember, if you're on camera, if you're on this floor, everybody agrees nobody sues anyone. Okay? All right, good.